Hello, everyone. Welcome back to my channel. Thank you for being here. In today's video, I'm going to take napkins and used dryer sheets and turn them into a kind of paper that you can actually write on and turn them into things. Things like a journal cover and some writing spots and pockets and things like that. So I'm going to go through a whole tutorial with it and show you the experiments and the results because there was one thing that failed. So I talk about all of those little things that I encountered by playing around with this unusual material. So I hope you'll join me and do check out the chapters if you want to skip around. Okay, let's get started. I'm simply going to speed this up and show you the experiments. Pretty straightforward, applying a lot of glue. And I talk about a lot of these little tips and things later on. So here are some of the experiments, and then I will go over them with you in a little bit. Here are the results of my experiment. And this first one that I did on just the dryer sheets by themselves, I put it on a shiny paper and I made an assumption. I made an assumption that this was a type of release paper, and it actually isn't. So I peeled, I noticed things happening here, and so I went ahead and I peeled it off while the glue was still wet and it was taking forever to dry. So I peeled it off and I put it on this wire rack to get it dry, and I used a hair dryer to speed that process up. And I'm going to be cutting off these edges. It worked out pretty good that it's not stuck. It wasn't stuck too bad uh, to because I peeled off in time. But anyway, it's kind of cool because you can see through it. Uh, you can see the other butterflies. You can kind of see through it. It makes it translucent. So this is napkin on a dryer sheet, and I'm going to be trimming off these edges anyway, so this is fine. And it's really makes quite a sturdy fabric, the combination of dryer sheets with a napkin. And I'm probably pretty much the same as if you used tissue paper, but this goes with the project I'm working on. So for my second experiment, I used a piece of thin drawing paper and I glued first the dryer sheet to the drawing paper and then applied the napkin and put another coat of glue on top of that. And it's very flexible and strong, and I can trim it, fold it in half. Again, I used a hair dryer to speed it up. It's a very wet day today, and the air is kind of heavy. So, um, yeah, it needed a little speeding up because the air is not very dry. Okay, so yeah, using a wire rack and a hairdryer helped tremendously. So this has a really neat texture. It's really a nice texture, and this makes a journaling space in the back on the inside. So that's those two. And the third one, I mean, when I did use real release paper, it was no problem at all. These are actual release paper that used to have labels on them, and these other two peeled off just fine. So the recommendation there is that you be very careful that it isn't just shiny paper. It has to be actual release paper. This one I had release paper on one side and I had a little bit of that shiny paper on the other side. So I got that off of there in time. So this is fine. Now this was on the cloth, a thin cotton cloth. And this is the result of gluing a napkin directly to some thin cotton cloth. You could do that with muslin, certainly, calico. Um, yeah, so it'd be kind of interesting. And you can see the butterflies through the cloth, and it was ivory colored cloth anyway. So that's kind of cool. And this came out more textural. You can see it with the angle of the light. You got a lot more texture going on. I was able to make this one, the texture is very light. This one on the paper, there's definitely texture, but these two have a little less texture than what happened on the cloth. This is very textural. So this was a experiment in using dryer sheets for two of them and napkin on cloth. Pretty cool, huh? Okay, so that was that experiment. I added an experiment number 4. One of my subscribers wondered if this napkin on dryer sheets would be suitable as a journal cover, and I thought that was a really excellent question. My first experiment did not work. It wasn't because of the substrate I put it on. I put it on wax paper, and that seemed to be a fairly suitable substrate. It's not my favorite. Uh, I do like cereal bags and release paper, and I find plastic tablecloths are good, which I did for the second part. So it's a two-parter. So this first one, what I thought I would do is I wanted to use a whole large napkin. So I decided I would lay out these dryer sheets. So I have one large one and 3 small ones. And so I put them on the paper and I figured, well, I'm doing this the same as example number 1, experiment number 1, so I wasn't worried about it. I didn't need to show you how to do that. But what happened is after it all dried, the dryer sheet didn't stick to itself with the PVA adhesive. It just it just popped right up. Now it's stuck to the napkin, but it's not sticking to itself. So this is an interesting thing to find out. That's why we experiment, right? So I found out that that didn't work. And then there was some little gaps, but then it starts to stick well. I had a few air bubbles. That's kind of what was happening here. Anyway, this just didn't quite work, but I can use these pieces. I mean, there's like a little section here. I can make a tag with it or something. And so I could use some of these bits and pieces. So rather than just went, oh, okay, that didn't work. What didn't work is that dryer sheets with PVA it's thinned PVA. So I use the Elmer's white glue with some water so that it's like really heavy cream in consistency. So I did it again. This one I did on a plastic tablecloth. That really didn't matter. The main thing, okay, so this is what I have learned from doing these experiments is the dryer sheet, of course, it doesn't stick to itself. So we found that out. And so what I did with this one is I tried to butt it right up against each other, but a little bit of it moved. So I have a little bit of an open spot there. So I'll just have to be careful with that when I use this. And I have a plan. And because it was just two of the large dryer sheets, it didn't quite make it all the way to the edge of this large napkin, but there's plenty here. I can make a journal cover with this, and I can just reinforce that with just some regular glue and um, maybe some washi tape. I'm not sure yet. At any rate, this is the things that I want to share with you that I learned was that dryer sheets suck up a lot of glue. So plan on having a lot of glue because in order to put the napkin on, you've really got to saturate the dryer sheets. Okay, so and of course, the dryer sheet is something that it goes in the dryer and it's supposed to, yeah, it's part of the drying process. And napkins are, they're supposed to absorb moisture. So it really takes a lot of glue to do this. I didn't find this to be the case with the tissue paper experiments I did in T for tissue paper during hashtag ABC April 2025. So I did those experiments, so I thought I'd experiment with the napkins. And this is the results. So there was experiment 1, 2, and 3. This is number 4, which is a variation on experiment 1, which worked fine as long as I didn't overlap the dryer sheet. So was there anything else? The big thing was lots of glue and those cheap plastic tablecloths you could get at Dollar Type Store work really well. Release paper works really well. The wax paper is adequate. Cereal box bags, cereal liner bags, they work really well as release paper. So I have something in mind for this, but it's pretty sturdy stuff. Now, if I take this experimental one and I go like, well, let's see. So it's stuck well. Will it tear? Well, not really. It will, okay, it will tear a little bit if you really haul on it because the dryer sheet is fibers that go in lots of different directions. So if you really pull on it, you can get it to tear. But other than that, I mean, nobody's going to really haul on it. It really takes some doing to get that tear going. Of course, it makes for an interesting edge. So, all right. So I think that's all I need to share with you about experiment number 4. So now that I have these napkins glued to dryer sheets, and this one in particular, because it's really large, and I was going to make a journal cover with it. But yeah, what else am I going to do with them? Well, I'll go over that, but I've already done something with a couple of them. This one, I said I was going to make a journal cover, so I'm going to make a journal cover. Well, I need a journal to cover. So I did make a signature. And I've been wanting to do a sunflower themed kind of little journal. So that's what this is, and we'll do a flip through, but I need the size to know what size to make this. And also I need to use a correct glue. And what I mean by that, of course, is because what I found in the experiment was that dryer sheets don't stick to themselves with just white glue. It didn't work. So instead of using white glue, I'm going to use the fabric tack glue. So that will work because this is well, it's kind of like a Pellon. So anyway, I'm going to use this. And I made a signature, a single signature. So I need to make this the right size. And I started to fold it and I went, no, I need to make a video. So I'm just going to fold it up and I'm using the lines on here because it tends to not want to fold very straight because it doesn't have any paper grain. There's no direction to it. It's multi-directional. So you have to coax it into place, which I started to do. And then whatever the length is, so I had that started and give it a nice crease and we can certainly use if I can get it out of the drawer, the bone folder, give it a really good burnishing down. And that I had not done yet. And this does seem to be very strong. And if you noticed in the previous one, I pointed out how there was this gap here between the dryer sheet. So this is just napkin right there. But when this is folded over, it's doubled and it's reinforced. And there's going to be very little stress on it because I'll just use the 3-hole pamphlet stitch and that should work out just fine. So I have it ready to go, folded in half. And I just want to figure out where to fold it here. So I'm just going to, and then I want to do something nice with the corners. All right, let's try this out. I'm not pushing down on the crease too much. Well, that leaves little things sticking out, which is fine. I think maybe I will do it just a little bit longer. There we go. And I want to make sure that stays put there. And that means I want to fold this side over this way. I'll just use these lines here. And also when I was gluing it, it was stretching and changing dimension just a little bit. Okay, so let's make sure this is where I want it to be. That looks pretty good. I think that's going to be just fine. So we can, all right, so now we could see where those corners are. I want to miter those corners. I want to cut off this excess here too. This excess dryer sheet material. I'll get that off of there. Excellent. And now I can miter the corners. And I'm not wrapping this around any cardboard. I'm going to let it just be what it is. So I wonder if I want to do this differently. I'm considering the possibilities here. Maybe, actually, what I want to do is this. I don't want to cut it at all. I want to just fold it over at the corners. So what I want to do is just fold it over. And then when I bring these corners in, make sure that's working for me here. Just got to get everything lined up nice. Yeah. Now that's going to that makes a very strong corner. There's all those layers there. I haven't cut anything off. So that's a good idea. Oh yeah. Look how nice that is. Okay. So I'm going to fold that in and then I'm going to glue all of this down. Well, it doesn't line up perfectly as far as the border is concerned. It's kind of funny. It comes off so wonky over here, but that has to do with what got stretched and everything, because the important thing is if we line it up with the grid here, okay, that's lined up there, and that's lined up there, and that's lined up there. So it just got compressed or stretched so that it didn't wind up being all in alignment. But that's fine. That is fine. So let's glue this up. And so everything is now glued down and it has its own kind of, it's like it's a cloth. It is now a cloth. But these edges are really nice, that's it's going to be a good journal cover. Certainly a different one. So the only thing I want to do now is I want to make a decision on a closure because before I sew this in, I'll put something that can wrap around and tie. So I'll get that and I will get some binding thread and I'll be back. Because I was using yarn on some of the decoration in here, I decided the closure is going to be some more of the yarn. I'm using a hemp twine. I'm going to try that anyway, and just doing a three-hole pamphlet stitch. So I've got it all clipped up, and let's see how it goes. As you could see, I was using the pliers to pull the needle through. The hemp cord is very thick, but I liked the look of it, so I didn't want to use something lightweight or thin, just because I just wanted that chunkier kind of look, which I like. And it's right there, so that's good. And we're all set. And I think what I'll do is I will just put this yarn. I'm sure I can do that. Let's get it in there. There we go. Oh, okay. Let's do plenty. There it is. Well, let's see all our different parts and pieces and just do a quick review and a flip through and we'll be all done. So here's what we have. The experiment was all about gluing napkins to dryer sheets, and was that worthwhile? So, and I know somebody who did that, and it was very interesting textures, very textural, and what the possibilities were. And this is the last little remnant of the one that mostly failed because the dryer sheet did not stick to itself with the white glue PVA kind of adhesive. It seems to be doing just fine with the fabric tack, and that makes sense. That makes sense. It's it's an artificial, it's a plasticky kind of material, so it needs a different kind of glue. So that was the idea of the experiment, was to try different things, and I used a couple of them. Now this is the same napkin, and I did a video for this, and this was a fun little vintage folder, and I glued it directly to the folder. So this was napkin glued to a paper substrate. And that worked great, of course. So the other pieces that I did, I created, I'll leave the link to the Joie de Vivre journal. This was one of the experiments that I wanted to have in this journal because it matched all the color theme, right? It's really pretty. So this one I did on the paper. It does have dryer sheet inside. So it's drawing paper with dryer sheet glued on with the napkin glued onto the dryer sheet on top. Very sturdy, a nice thick page, and nothing's coming apart. It's just fine. So let's see, where did I put the other one? Oh, that's right. It's in the back. And this one I just put in as a fun little addition. This was just napkin on dryer sheet, one single sheet. We have some of the large dryer sheets that are for pet hair and stuff like that. So there's two different sizes you can get. This is one of the larger sizes. And yeah, you can write on it. Let me get a black pen. You can write on it. So you can write on the dryer sheet. So it actually can create kind of a very unusual journaling spot. So anyway, I wanted to just put that in the pocket there. So that was part of that project, and I have not yet used this piece, which was on the fabric, right? So there are those pieces. And then we have the one we just finished. So we have the yarn, and we have this unusual cover. It's very flexible, but it's fun. It's nice. It's different. This bag is a cereal liner bag, and I used double-sided tape on it. I could have taken it to the sewing machine, but I decided to use double-sided tape to because I cut it down. It was longer, so I cut it down to size, and I added some washi tape over it. So that is that. This is just from a magazine glued onto some of my coffee dyed paper. It's a little fabric scrap from a sample book, just with a little mixed notepad kind of thing. And you can see the tines here because I attached it with a couple of fun brads that match the fabric. And I threw a coloring book page in here, some writing paper. I was really playing up with the sunflower. Um, these are some fun die cuts that I picked up. I got these at Hobby Lobby actually last year after summer, so they were on sale. And some of the yarn. So here is another piece offcut from the failed. See, it didn't fail. I still get to use it. I got to use parts and pieces of it. And I just folded it over and glued it down and just add it. Makes a really fun pocket. Just some little things. Got some little butterfly stickers out. This is some architect's paper, the magazine, some map. Here's another one of the offcuts, and I just glued it to a little card folder. Another piece of architect paper, and this is a belly band tag. I definitely wanted to include this in this project because this was all about the sunflowers and everything. This was a gift bag. So it's just now a pocket. And instead of the little handles, I just added a ribbon. That's all there was to it. An old CD envelope. And here is another piece of the experiment. Ah, I need to put a little um, binding on that. Hadn't done it yet, so I'll get to that. This is a sticker, this piece of 6x6 paper that I just hinged on. The other pocket, the other side of that gift bag. This one I left simple. This is actually just a little blank gift card. Really pretty, but it has that sunflower theme going. The other side of the map page. I had a little fun over here. So this is sort of a two-parter. This that you see behind here is a flip out. It's from another magazine. So there was some print under there. So I made this little um, tab. And this is a little gift tag thing that came with that gift bag. So I just turned it into a dangle. A little writing spot. And this is a tag with a pocket. There we go. And we have in the back just a big journaling spot. So I hope you enjoyed this experiment and it helps inform you if you want to use some alternative materials. And I think it was a success. It's an unusual product. We go through a lot more dryer sheets than I'm ever going to be able to use, but I think it was fun to find out what I could or couldn't do with it. So I'm really happy to be able to have shared my experiments and give you some ideas that you might like to try for yourself. So there, there is this project. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. These will be available in the Etsy shop. As soon as I get done here. So thank you so much for watching and have fun creating, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye for now.